Hey everybody, this is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services. And in this video, we are going to go over a plumbing takeoff in the full set and what I see there, what we see is not there, and based on what's not there, what we have to do. Thank you everybody for joining, liking, subscribing, and make sure you still do. Of course, you see, I have many interests. Construction is my love, what I've been doing now for 16 years, and Black history is my life. So, what I've been for 61 years coming up. So, yeah, thank you everybody. If this is something you're interested in, and if you are looking to get into construction, please let me know. In 2026, I will be sponsoring for young kids, minority women to learn a specific trade. You have to qualify and you have to show up. And I would be more than happy to help you get in this industry. You don't know how many men that have no experience ask me to teach them how to be estimators because they just got a job as an estimator. I can do it for you too. So, in this video, let's talk about plumbing. All right, plumbing. So, for my folks out there are different types of plumbing. This plumbing we're talking about is the system that takes water to and from the building or your home. Okay, that's the plumbing we're talking about. The other kind of plumbing could be process plumbing, which is plumbing used at uh, restaurants, Walmarts, grocery stores. They pump through chemicals that help that freezer, refrigerator stay cold. Okay. We also do it with HVAC as well if we have that. So that's the different type of process plumbing from this type of plumbing. Okay. The pipe sizes are different. How they run is completely different. But, and then we also use fire suppression, right? We use pipes with that, but that's not what we're talking about here. So, two types of plumbing: process plumbing, plumbing that is used in freezers, coolers, that have that liquid chemical running through it that we have to keep going from machine to machine, or a piece of equipment to piece of equipment to keep it running the way that it should. And then we have this kind of plumbing, which is take dirty water, clean water. You'll always hear me talk about dirty water, clean water. Plumbing has two systems, this plumbing associated with it. The plumbing that brings the clean water to your toilets, your sinks, and the plumbing that takes away the used water from your sinks and your toilets and urinals and everything that has water. Okay, and so that's what we're talking about here. So when you look at a set of plumbing plans, you ideally, okay, if it's an ideal set of plans, you will have the dirty water plan, which is the sewer system pipes and the vent. Caveat when I say vent, because it doesn't show you in all cases all of your horizontal runs of your vent. So that's the dirty water system. Clean water system is the domestic water that runs to the sinks, the toilets, the showers. Okay. And you can look at a set of plans immediately and know, well, here we have gas too. So gas size for gas, the size of pipe for gas and the size of pipe for water systems are typically, I mean, they could be the same size. And so you'll see gas runs on the clean water plan. Or if they want to really do well and do what they're supposed to do, they'll give you a third set of plans with just water, and like dentist offices, I mean, well, I'm sorry, with just gas. But things like dentist offices that have a lot of compressed air and the suction and all kind of stuff running, they'll usually have a third set of plans with that system. And so you have to understand, when you look at a set of plumbing plans, you're going to look for, like I said, ideally, but we don't have that in this case. Clean water plan, dirty water plan, and a riser diagram. Okay, you want to, the plan views like we're looking at right here gives you horizontal measures of the pipe, but we know that the pipe goes vertically up and down. And so we as estimators, we can't forget that part. That's half of the job. Okay. And so you have to know, oh, my phone just had a bell when I said it's half. Yeah, that's right. It's half of the job. It'll make you or break you. And so you have to, hopefully, fingers crossed, have a riser diagram, which this one does not. Because again, the riser diagram's job is to show you which of the pipe, which of the pipes are going vertically up and down. And it helps you in terms of estimating to calculate those numbers very quickly, because my rule of thumb is every time I see one going up, if it's a regular commercial building or home, I'm going to say that's 10 feet up. So all I have to do is count, click, 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 click. How many 2-inch vents do I have? Click, click. If I have 30 of them, well, I know I have 300 vertical measure of that vent pipe. But when you don't have it, you kind of got to guess. But it's a good educated guess if you've done enough. All right. So in this set, we don't have a riser diagram, so I'm going to make that very clear how we do it. We know that all of the pipe, all of the equipment has to have, has the water running to it, and the water pipes are the vertical runs, and the vent pipes are the vertical runs. Okay. And a lot of times with the vent pipes on the dirty water plan, they'll show you the vent. They'll show you where the vent is going up, vent to roof. All right. But the vertical measure event, they don't always show you. So you have to have a rule of thumb on how to determine, because for every sanitary run, you do have a vent run. But on your plans, it doesn't show you in all cases the vent run. This this is the set of plans that I was a little confused myself, because it does show a vent run on the dirty water plan. Okay, so many different scenarios, but you have to have a rule of thumb. And the rule of thumb is this. Okay. The plan, dirty water, clean water, is that's your vertical runs. Period. So you measure those, in which we did here. This is the water pipe and gas pipe. So high pressure gas, I want to make sure I outline, because every one of them was an HPG. So because I'm sure that's a different type of material for that run of pipe. Okay, and it's a 1.5 inch. Okay, rope gathering under the elevation above wood, grilling sis. So it's telling grilling. I mixed them up. Ceiling grid. So it's telling me how high it's supposed to go, because this set of plans doesn't have a riser diagram. Okay, so it's telling me, oh, above ceiling grid. So somewhere in my specification, somewhere I have to figure out above, how far above? 6 feet, 6 inches above, a foot above, 2 feet above? Is there something in a section view or an elevation view that I can see exactly how far above the ceiling? If I don't have that in the plans, what do? First of all, I should have looked at these plans when I first got them, so I'd have all of the questions I needed for the request for information. Those are the kinds of questions you ask, because you don't want to make guesses. Okay? And so, yeah, this doesn't have a riser diagram, but I know for every piece of equipment, the water is going up and the sewer is going down. Okay, this is all new stuff, so I'm going to assume it's from the ground. Is it? I think it is. All of the equipment is new. So everything's from the ground up. So I have to assume the rough in cost as well. And when I do my rule of thumb, now I can go to the reflective ceiling plan, and that will tell me it'll tell me the height of the ceiling. That's why it's very important that you know how to go between plans. Okay, if it tells you, oh, it's at the roof joist, well, I need to be able to go to the structural set if I have one, or look at a section view of the building, because where are the roof joists? Just below the roof. So I'm just going to go to the height of the roof. That way I'm covered. So with plumbing, it's critical. When you don't have your riser diagram, you have a way of determining the the height, okay, of, again, each of the pieces of equipment. Sanitary sink, I believe, probably service sink. I know this is the water vertical, these are vertical measures. So I can see the water coming in and the size. And then as far as the height, well, I'm going to use what it says here, but I know normally what I do is I'm going to go to the plumbing schedule, because wherever that is, let's see. Plumbing schedule is going to tell me what my plumbing fixture rough in sizes are. And here we go. So there we go. And so I know that for my vertical measure up, I'm going to use the size of the pipe for the unit. So I know for my urinal two, I'm going to use 3/4 inch up. And what's a urinal? A urinal only has one water, right, and one sewer. And so I know for the water closet, same thing, one water, and that one's 1 inch. Okay, and so for my rough ends, I use 6 feet for the sanitary part for my educated guesses. Okay, especially if I don't see any type of where would this be in the utility, right? In the utility plan, that where I would see where these pipes are in terms of ground and how below ground is. You have to be able to navigate all through the sets of plans if you want to have really good educated guesses. And so back to the vertical measure of pipe, I just use what they tell me for the lab, right? I have uh, two, right? Two waters and one sewer. And uh, this is some kind of different one. Oh, it has two faucets. Okay, that makes sense. So basically, two for each one. So I have all of that. So I know my vent going up is going to be 1.5 inch vent going up. Okay, and for everything here. So when I don't have the riser diagram, I'm not stuck. And so if I have 30 water closets, I look here and I see that it's 1 inch pipe, then I know I have 30 times 10, because I use 10 unless it shows me otherwise. Okay, and so back to the takeoff. So that's what we do. Vital, we have those three things. We're always going to have clean water, dirty water, and lazy ones may put everything on one plan. And again, I'm not used to seeing vent. Where's vent? Hold on, wrong plan. I'm not used to seeing vent. And see, that's not even vent. I mean, broken lines typically symbol for your vent line, but it's telling me no, it's a 4 inch grease line below the slab, because yeah, underground, your symbol for underground anything too is the broken line. And so, they helped me out that way. But I was confused until I saw, because you rarely see vent runs on your dirty water plan in the vertical measures. Okay, but that is the symbol for vet too. So depends on how lazy they are. Okay, and ESA, that's already the existing. And so this is something where we renovated the plumbing. Okay, so when you do renovations of the plumbing, you have to make sure you account for all the runs. Okay, but then you also have to account for all the connect to existing, and that's what this symbol is. And so that's a significant additional cost connected it to the existing. Okay, so what do I have to do? I mean, what is really involved in connecting that to connecting existing to new? Because at some point, I got to totally change this out so it can connect to new. What's the process? So always make sure. I mean, that could be 350, 450 per for that alone. It really depends on what's the existing pipe. Anytime you're doing a demo portion on any project, you have to make sure you know everything about it. What type of pipe is it? Concrete pipe? What is it? The same that I'm putting in there, but where you get that information, the specifications, because it will have a section for demolition or alterations of. That's what the specifications job is for. Every portion, everything about your project, your scope of work is written out in words in the specifications, where these are the pictures that go with those words. And so that's why it's very important you read the specifications first, take notes, then come here, because you'll know at that point, Oh man, I got to cut into concrete reinforced whatever. Who knows what that is? But it might be just PVC or a lot of things or a lot, okay? And so why that's why it's important you use the plans as your guide for what they want. And then once you do the work, is this did this set of plans coincide with what I saw when I got underground in the dirt and had to actually do this work? They told me it was this kind of pipe, but then hey, I show up and it's this kind, which takes a whole different set of maneuvers to demo that part and to make that new connection to new. Another thing to think about, code. Are we making sure that the new connection is within the code? Can the new connection even be made? How long has this pipe been there? Is it 60, 70-year-old pipe? Who knows? Code may have changed. Make sure you are up to par with that because it's not necessarily the GC or even the engineer that does the plans may be up to par. Where you show up with one type of pipe and you don't get approved because the inspector said, "Oh, you're using, 10 years ago. We stop using that, Bob." Okay, so that's another thing the intelligent contractor is going to think about. And if you are my student, trust me, you are sick of me with telling you rules. All right, so here we go. So with this one, no, no riser diagram. And so you already know off top when you do this, you're going to have to count, you have your reliable way of counting all your equipment, then go to that schedule, determine the vertical measures, which in this case, the vertical measures are the connections to the plumbing uh, fixtures. So whatever those water, vent, da da da, well, your sewer plan is reliable because it's connected directly and you can see it's a 4-inch sewer pipe connected to that water closet, so okay, I'm gonna give it 6 foot down to the main sewer line, and that's a rule of thumb. That's not, and then there's a way to check that. Where's the main sewer? Utility plan. Where is the north, south, east, west coordinates on your utility plan for the main sewer input that this is going to? Okay, because you want to make sure you on point as much as possible from the plans. Okay, and not have to guess a bunch of stuff, or that's something you can request for information. If you're my student with every one of these projects, I expect a request for information that I created for you for class. Now, there's a whole bunch of good ones you can come up with on this one. Okay, and that's why they have them, because everybody's brain thinks differently. You may need information, and you're helping them make the project better when you ask those questions if it's not clear on the plans. And 9 times out of 10, I'm the only one asking. I'm like, nobody asked that question. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we'll win this one. Okay, so uh, existing renovations, plumbing, always connect to existing. How many of those? That's really something you need to determine cost wise. Okay, EGI is existing, so this is already existing. And then what we're doing, we're shooting it off, adding a floor drain. Okay, and somewhere too, there should be some detail plans showing me all about how the fixtures are sitting, and only this one, the instantaneous water heater. And that's okay. Going through, is that it? Yeah, and then that's the fire plan. And so yeah, there's a lot of missing stuff that so here we know that it's telling us from below, da, 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 run it through the chase, coordinate with the ductwork prior to da da da. Okay, and so right, this makes it look like it's a brand new building. I don't have to go through spider webs or anything else, communication wires, anything else that could be in that chase. Okay, so those are the things you follow up with when you're actually on site, and those are these are the things where productivity factors come in to play. because access and accessibility is a thing. And if you don't have it, then you got to figure it out. And with these two, the gas cock, they just got to run into it. Well, is there somewhere, if you've done this before, you already know, but they're really in a set of plans? Should be somewhere that gives me the details on exactly how that's connected to that piece of equipment. Okay, all of this. Okay, so, and the type of pipe and what are the joint connections, all in the specifications. And you may have some on, the first couple of sheets of the plans, but nah. This is a crappy set, but let's this is one where you probably had to, oh, cast iron for the first 10 feet. Oh, see, that's important. That's very important. But see, again, they better have a set of specifications because that should have been in there under material. Okay? Because, yeah, no PVC cast iron. That's a whole different beast in terms of cost and installation. Okay? So, and then what's it say? Let's see. And we're going to make that part of our thing. Drain connections from dishwashers and booster heaters shall be type M copper. Okay, 1 to 2 floor sinks, waistlines from above mentioned. Floor sinks shall be cast iron pipe for the first 10 feet below grade. All right, so yeah, that'll be interesting to pull out, student, because yeah, we got to make sure we follow that and just try to determine if we can see on this plan and do that. Okay, that'll be a small little additional uh, video for this one. Okay, so got to figure out your vertical measures, rule of thumb. Already talked about it. Make sure you look in other sets. Connecting new to existing, that is a thing. And two, all of these control valves and shut off valves, yeah, we got to count those too. But pretty much you need two per, you know, if there's two water lines coming in, you need two. If it's one something, you need one. So we can figure that out from the counts. Or main water cutoff right here for all of those. Okay. Shock stop. Everything's here. So yeah. First job in the takeoff is knock out all the linear measures of everything. And now next step we're going to count our each of our pieces of equipment, all of our controls. And when you count them, you have to make sure you count them based on size, right? So whatever that is, a control valve 2 inch, based on the type of material too. So those make it easy for yourself when you actually send the list to the supplier. Okay, so any questions about this, make sure you let me know. If you're interested in taking a class, please reach out at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. Visit our website. I have a lot of free tools for you to use, cheat sheets for every trade, workshops. If you're interested in one on one education, it's a little more expensive, but I have a payment plan. And yeah, just reach out at any time. Make sure to join, like, subscribe. And Thanksgiving holiday, Black Truth TV will be up and operating. I will ask, you will have to join first, and it doesn't cost anything. And we get to see there everything YouTube keeps smashing on me, which is a lot. So thanks a lot, everybody. I'll see you soon.